Michael Janny's up a game. These are the post-sideboard games. Steve Walsh has got a bunch of, I think he's winning this one. We're going to, at 18 with, I don't know, all that stuff. You might ask what kind of graveyard hate Michael Janny has. So he's got 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Scavenging Ooze, 2 Thalias. That's not graveyard hate, but sometimes is good here. I think we're going to a 3rd game here. Michael, Burning Tree, Emissary, Trigger, pass.
So you see Gore-Clan Rampager on the battlefield, and this is a good play in a lot of matchups for the Zoo deck, just the fact that it's a burn spell, such another creature. In the face of triple Prized Amalgam, triple Narcomoeba, it's not looking too hot.
All these Bloodghast come out of the graveyard thanks to Deck More Salvage. They all have haste because Michael's on low health. We're going to go to the 3rd game. All right, Zoo Dredge going to 3.
All right, Zoo on the play, though.
Yeah, this is the 10-2 bracket, so same as the last match we were watching. The players at 10-2 right now need to go 2-1 to top 8. So winner of this match will be one away. The loser will then be on the bubble.
This late in the tournament, it's not a ton of matchups, but you certainly are feeling the pressure. This match is very important for these players.
So we've seen Dredge play against Infect. I'm wondering, looking at the Dredge sideboard Steve Walsh has here, we're going to read this one off, things that he can do in this matchup. Ancient Grudge, Thoughtseize, Nature's Claim, Ravenous Trap, Lightning Axe, Dark Blast. Not hugely into any of those, but the card that he has on his board that we haven't seen yet but I'm interested in is the card Gnawed of the Bone.
Gnawed of the Bone can gain a ton of life in this kind of matchup. The issue is he's playing against a quad Atarka's command deck. Frequently your deck dead before you can ever get it off. It's pretty free to put it into your deck, but it's not as good as it may appear.
Okay, so it is a 3 to play and 3 to flashback. You gain 2 life for each creature in your graveyard. So the appeal here is that when Steve, first he can mill into it. And when he flashes back, it could gain him, if he ever pulls off a gain 20 with it, he probably just wins.
Another issue is there are 24 creatures in the deck. For Narcomoebas, Prized Amalgam, Bloodghast, they don't spend a lot of time in the graveyard.
It's true.
Insolent Neonate does. Stinkweed Imp and Golgari Grave Troll also tend to bounce out.
I would think if you're going to register the card, though, it's got to be good from this matchup, right?
Yeah, this is the matchup you want it in. I haven't been terribly impressed by it. There are games that it'll be good in, and like I said, when you're dredging this card in your graveyard, it's like drawing a card. It's very free to bring it in, but it's not necessarily exceptional.
Find out. So they're going to get ready for a 3rd game. If you want to find out more things about tech, especially about Dredge, an upcoming deck like this, things like Gnawed of the Bone, Lightning Axe, you can read our StarStateGamesCom newsletter. This comes out every week. You can get the latest on the SCG Tour, all the news, the results from the most recent event. You get exclusive deck lists from some of your top SCG authors, all that, and an exclusive Cardboard Crack comic. And the best part is it's free. Just go over to the website, sign up. There's a button in the upper right corner. Just click on it. StarStateGames.com newsletter.
Yeah. No reason not to subscribe. The newsletter is excellent. Get you some highlights from both the tournament the previous week and the articles showing up on StarCityGames.com.
Michael Janny is back on the play here as we go to the deciding game between the two. Both players have kept, and we are going to start things off. Michael, the decision here on the first turns. Start by cracking a, looks like we have Temple Garden into Wild Nacatl. So 2-2 here, likely to become a 3-3 on the attack. Steve, is Copperline Gorge go? No play here. He could have something, I suppose, like Lightning Axe available?
Sure. That would certainly be solid here. Slow Janny down, buy you some time to cast a Cathartic Reunion without losing any life.
Nacatl powers up to a 3-3 thanks to Stomping Ground from Michael. We'll see just how much damage is going to be thrown on this turn. It's just the 3 from the Wild Nacatl. We saw Michael pull off a turn 3 kill yesterday with Zoo in round number 9.
Not bad.
Kurt Ape is the follow-up. Back over to Steve Walsh. His draw is Conflagrate.
Conflagrate generally good against decks that are throwing around a lot of 1 toughness creatures. In this matchup, he's spending a lot of cards to even just kill 1 creature.
And the turn 2 play will be Cathartic Reunion from Walsh. He had the option between that and Abrupt Decay, but he's going to go for the big enabler. So discards 2 cards to cast it. They're going to be both Dredgers, Stinkweed Imp and Golgari Grave Troll. First, he dredges the Grave Troll. 6 cards here. We get a Bloodghast into the yard, a Life from the Loam into the yard, a second Bloodghast, another Grave Troll, and a Prized Amalgam. A big dredge there. Now he's going to dredge another Grave Troll, gets 6 more cards, another Prized Amalgam, and another Dredger. That's going to be it there. So he'll dredge Imp for 5 more.
Really looking for Narcomoeba here.
4, and Narcomoeba on the very last card for Steve Walsh.
Phenomenal. That's so many amalgams here.
Took the 17th card for him to get it. Just
little draw 17.
Cathartic Reunion's great.
Reasonable magic.
So, hits it on the last card. Narcomoeba brings back 2 Prized Amalgams, and we pass the turn.
And Janny's deck is so explosive that when you look at the option between Abrupt Decay and Cathartic Reunion, the Abrupt Decay just kills 1 creature. It's fine. He's still not doing anything potentially proactive. I like going for this line because you can get paid off like this.
So Michael's going to path to exile the... Oh, wow. He's going to path the Prized Amalgam. A big miss here. So there's 2 basics in Steve's deck, just 1. It's a mountain, and it's in his graveyard. And how big is that? Because if that path could find a mountain, Steve would have gotten back 2 Bloodghasts.
Yeah, that's significant.
You see there, just on that 3rd row, right under the Life from the Loam, there's the 1 basic.
He's churned through a lot of cards. You know, that's going to happen. Very unfortunate for him, though.
Maybe a heads-up play by Michael. If you look at the Dredge player and you see a mountain in the graveyard, you might think to yourself, this path's free. Dredge doesn't play very many basics.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise, there's an argument to wait until Walsh's next turn to do it so that you don't trigger that landfall. But this way, you get to use that mana on that turn.
Swing for 5 from Janny. The Narcomoeba will chump block. Wild Nacatl does no damage, but Curd Ape does 2, so Steve goes down to 14. Michael will add another Curd Ape to the board. Looks like he then passes the turn. He had Experiment 1 in his hand, but just isn't going for it here.
Must be leaving up another path? I'm not sure.
Well, Steve will go back to the dredging. Here is Life from the Loam.
Experiment 1 could... Well, no, if you cast it first, it'll be a 2/2, so it's not really vulnerable to Conflagrate.
Yeah, it looks like what Steve wanted was a land. He didn't have one, so he dredged Life from the Loam. He will then cast it. Had to go down to 13 because of City of Brass. But he gets 3 lands back. This is going to bring a whole team of creatures with it. And keep in mind, Steve now up to 9 cards in his hand, or 10 cards rather. This Conflagrate that he has in hand, if he may want to just cast it for 0 so that he could eventually flash it back.
Yeah, well, if he has that many cards, he can just discard it at the end of turn, though he's already used his Pain mana source, so.
Yeah. Blackcleave Cliffs is the play. He gets 2 Bloodghasts back. No Conflagrate in his graveyard, but there is 1 in his hand.
Won't be difficult to get it back in the bin.
He might just go to clean up. You see him eyeing these cards that he wants to discard. Conflagrate, Grave Troll, Bloodghast.
And the Conflagrate Bloodghast look like the most important cards to discard here. Though if he's missing a Dredger bigger than the Life from the Loam,
yeah,
argument for the Grave Troll for sure.
He only gets to discard, it looks like, 2. So he'll discard 1 Grave Troll.
Suppose he has double black mana, so just casting Bloodcast is fine here.
Yeah, discards 2 Grave Trolls. Conflagrate is still in his hand. He does play a lot of Conflagrates, 3. So by discarding Grave Troll, his thought might just be, I'm going to mill into another one. It's fine.
Yeah, it could be functionally the same on top of being able to dredge more.
Yeah, if this dredge 6 hits a Conflagrate, then this is just straight better.
Yeah, just upside.
We go back to Michael Janny. He has kept the Dredger under control, but his clock is still very slow here. He untaps with 2 Curd Apes and a Wild Nacatl. Still has to do 13 more damage to Steve.
Steve will have no problem offering up either the trade or just eating one of these Curd Apes in combat if Janny's not able to do something like a 1-drop plus Bushwhacker this turn.
Michael swings the team. Remember, Bloodghasts can't block, but Prized Amalgam can. Nacatl and Amalgam looks like they're going to trade. It would be 4 damage. And here's the Atarka's command from Janny. It will pump the team and deal 3, so trading will not happen. Each Nacatl pumps up to 3. Atarka's command is 3. That's 9 damage total. Steve goes down to 4.
And Steve did make the best possible block in the face of a Tarkus command because he's just getting eaten in combat by the Curd Apes, with them being 3/4s now. So the Nicodle didn't trade with the Amalgam, but it soaked up 4 damage instead of 3.
We go back to Steve Walsh. Looks like Grave Troll will be dredged. I do have to ask at this point, though, what about that Gnaw to the Bone? Are they in Steve's deck? We have a lot of creatures in this graveyard.
Yeah, this would be significant to dredge over that with these Grave Trolls.
We got 2 Neonates, a Narcomoeba, 2 Grave Trolls. This is going to gain 12.
It's a high number.
Yeah. Steve deciding his plan here. And I think, going back to Experiment 1, figured out why Michael's hanging on to it, is the last card in his hand is Reckless Bushwhacker. So he doesn't, if he can't evolve the Experiment 1 very much, he's holding on to it so that he can surge the Reckless Bushwhacker.
Makes sense.
Grave Troll is the dredge. 6 cards. Faithless Looting, Cathartic Reunion, Copperline Gorge, Gemstone Mine, no help yet. Copperline Gorge, Stomping Ground, it was 4 lands. This is not what Steve was looking for.
Below average dredging, to be sure. And he just has 2 creatures that can't block in the face of 3 creatures here at 4 life. Any combination of these creatures alone is lethal.
Well, I think he wanted to hit Conflagrate. There was a chance that he is close to being able to Conflagrate for 9. He's got Abrupt Decay in hand. Unfortunately, the Conflagrate is still in his hand, and he did not mill any other copies.
Again, he does not currently have Life from the Loam in hand, because he cast that after dredging it, I believe.
Yeah, he cast it to get those lands back. You're absolutely right. Got a Faithless Looting in the graveyard, though I'm not sure more dredging is what he needs at the moment. He's got to figure out a way to stay alive.
He would only be able to produce cards that mostly can't block. He could find some Narcomoebas, which could gain him some life here, though he'd have to tap this. Well, he can play the basic mountain, so he doesn't have to use the City of Brass. He's able to produce some Narcomoebas that could buy him some time.
So, you know what's pretty neat is if Steve, say, Conflagrates the whole board, that Experiment 1 plus Reckless Bushwhacker in Janny's hand.
Still lethal.
That's 4 damage, yeah.
Not bad.
Janny would get really rewarded for hanging on to that 1-drop. Well, the Bloodghasts are going to attack. They don't do much else. Michael will go to 12.
It looks like with the attack, he's found a line. He's thinking about casting just Abrupt Decay, though he's just dead to the other 2 creatures if he doesn't have other action.
I think he's going to go for that Conflagrate. So Conflagrate for 0. He's got, there's not enough cards here.
Yeah, he could kill Nicodle Curd Ape and hope that Janny has just nothing that could deal damage to him on the following turn.
Yeah, because he has to play the mountain. He does not want to tap the City of Brass. He's playing to a slim out here. It's not going to work. I see what he's doing. Plays the mountain, taps double red. It looks like he has 6 cards in hand. He can pitch them all to kill 2 creatures. If he had discarded the Conflagrate last turn, he could have made this play and then Abrupt Decayed as well. It looks stronger. It still wouldn't win. Michael has him covered on that as well.
And even just the double Grave Troll discard, it seems suboptimal.
You only need one of those, you think?
Yeah, he only dredged once this turn, and he didn't really have a line where dredging again made sense.
Conflagrate kills a monkey and a Nicodle. Amalgam there, but it's not going to trigger. Nothing came out of the graveyard. And I believe Janny just has him. Reckless Bushwhacker should do it. He's got to have, I guess he needs the mana.
He's got a Lightning Bolt is what he has.
Okay, that'll work. Ape and Lightning Bolt. Game and match. Michael Janny moves to 11-2. The Zoo players started with the 8-0 start to the tournament. Treading water here. He's 3-2 since that start, but now 1 win away from the top 8.
Yeah, these red